Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of The Hunt, which is a film directed by Thomas Vinterberg, and to me, this is honestly one of the most disturbing movies that I have ever seen in my life, as it was just so well acted and directed. And not just that, but this is a film that I totally recommend that you should go check out once in your life, as it is going to be an experience that you will never forget. But I will warn you that this film can get pretty hard to watch at times. But still, this is a great film that deserves a lot more attention, especially nowadays. And I am just going to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I am going to break down the plot of this film. So, a lonely teacher works in a kindergarten and is very affectionate towards his students. But when he is accused of pedophilia, he desperately tries to prove his innocence. If there was one thing that I really liked about this film, is the way and how it does such a great job at telling a story that is deeply compelling. And while it may look simple at times, this is a very well written and complex movie that will stay with you long after it's over. And to me, one of the most interesting things about this film is the fact that it is so much more than just a psychological drama, but a powerful study on mob mentality and the dark side of human nature as a whole. And not just that, but I thought some of the acting performances were really well done, especially from Mads Mikkelsen as Lucas. And to me, this is honestly his best performance, as he does such an amazing job at portraying his character as someone who is deeply flawed, but compelling, all at the same time. And when we first see his character in the opening scene of the film, it immediately starts off with him spending time with his friends at the lake. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of him walking all the way to work until he is confronted by some of his students at the playground. And this is where you start to realize that despite the fact that he is a highly respected member of his community, he is a man struggling with his recent divorce and existential loneliness. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction into who he really is as a person. And not just that, but it perfectly sets up everything for the film that you are about to see. And I am not going to lie to you right now. Out of all of the films that I have seen in my life, no movie has affected me more than this film right here, as it does such a great job at showing how a society can slowly tear itself apart from the inside out. And you can really see that from Lucas's character arc and the way in how he is treated throughout the film. One of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way in how he tries to do everything that he can in order to prove his innocence, even if it means that he will need to lose his own sense of reality. And while he knows that it won't bring any peace to his own life, you can really see that he is trying to cope with his own situation and become a better person through the relationships that he has with his son and Clara. And to me, it really adds a lot to the fact that he is honestly one of the most well written and deeply complex characters in the history of cinema. And you can really see that from Mads Mikkelsen's powerful performance in this movie. And I am actually gonna be honest right now, he deserves a lot of praise for his performance in this film, as it was just that fucking good. And not just that, but this is a pretty realistic depiction of a kind soul who is brutally hated by the world that he lives in. But despite that, he tries to do everything that he can in order to survive it. And you really care a lot about his character in a way. And it really goes to show you that The Hunt is just an absolute masterpiece of filmmaking. If there was one thing that I really liked about Mads Mikkelsen's performance, is the way in how he brought so much depth and humanity into his character. As it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the best actors working in Hollywood today. And you can really see that from his performance in this film and many of his other roles, like Hannibal, for example. And overall, Lucas is a deeply complex character. And Mads Mikkelsen honestly makes this film better than it already is. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is definitely up there as being one of the most powerful performances in the history of cinema. And I actually will admit, if he wasn't in this film, this movie would have not as worked as strongly as it did. I thought Thomas Bar Larson did a pretty great job playing Theo, despite the fact that he wasn't in the film all that much. And to me, one of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way in how he tries to do everything that he can in order to come to terms with himself and his own reality. And you can really see this from how he finally realizes the truth about Lucas and that he didn't do anything bad to his daughter. But if there was one thing that I really liked about Thomas Bar Larson's performance, is the way in how he brought so much depth into the role, as it really made Theo so much more than just a side character, but someone who you can actually care about. And you can really see that from his desire to do whatever it takes in order to protect his daughter no matter what. And I just want to say that the friendship between him and Lucas was just so well done, as it really goes to show you that The Hunt is honestly one of the most powerful movies that has ever been made. And overall, this is honestly one of Thomas Bar Larson's best performances, as it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the most underrated actors working today, as he does such a great job at playing characters who are deeply complex, even if they aren't the main character. And you can really see that from this film right here. And it wasn't just him and Mads Mikkelsen that gave great performances, but I thought the supporting cast did a pretty great job playing the characters, even if they weren't in the film that much. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is honestly some of the best acting that you are ever going to get from a foreign film like this. I thought Thomas Vinterberg's direction of the film was just so well done, as it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the greatest directors working today. And you can really see that from how he does such a great job at telling a deeply compelling but powerful story about the decay of modern society and how one lie could lead to massive consequences in the future for not just one person but for an entire group of people. And it is honestly one of the main reasons on why he is just the absolute best, especially when it comes to telling stories that are deeply compelling and just so well written all at the same time. And The Hunt is a perfect fucking example of this. And I am not going to lie to you right now. We need more movies just like this, especially when we are living in an age of where every film is nothing more but soulless and generic slop that nobody fucking asked for. Also, you know what's the biggest problem affecting Hollywood right now? Is the fact that they are hiring writers who don't give a shit about telling a good story, but more about pushing their own agenda. Also, you want to know why we go to films in the first place? Is to just be entertained. It's just that fucking simple. And if they ain't gonna realize that, then just look at the fact that every film that is coming out nowadays is nothing more but a box office flop. And while there were some good films that came out this year, it doesn't excuse the fact that this was not a good year for Hollywood. And you know what? They did it to themselves. And I am actually going to be honest right now. Thomas Vinterberg deserves a lot of praise for his direction right here, as he made an absolute masterpiece that will stick with you long after it's over. And it remains just as relevant today as it did when it first came out. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other work, like Another Round, for example, as that is just an absolute masterpiece of cinema. And I even heard that it was nominated for Best International Feature Film. And it really goes to show you that this film really puts Hollywood to shame. Which is a sad thing to say, because Hollywood did have some great films, but nowadays it's just not the fucking same anymore. The cinematography is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good. But if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is how it gives the film a very gritty but realistic feel to every scene that takes place, as it's all done in a way to reflect the mental state from the main character and the film's themes of the fragility and community and trust. And you can really see that from how the film uses a Dogma 95 style. And to me, it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. And overall, this is honestly some of the best cinematography that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with the film's themes and its story. And I am just going to let you know that this is the same cinematographer who worked with Thomas Vinterberg on a lot of his films, and to me, this is honestly some of her best work. As it really goes to show you that Charlotte Bruce Christensen is honestly one of the best cinematographers working today. And this film is a perfect example of that. I thought the actress who played Clara did a pretty good job in the role. But if there was one thing that I really liked about her performance in this movie, is the way in how she brought so much depth and complexity into her character, as it really makes Clara so much more than just a side character, but someone who you can actually care about. And you can really see that from the way in how she's portrayed as being a victim of her own situation. But despite that, you can really see that she is trying to do everything that she can in order to keep her friendship with Lucas alive. And overall, this is honestly one of her best performances, as it really goes to show you that she can do such an amazing job of playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that from this film right here. I thought the store scene is honestly one of the film's best scenes, as it really goes to show you that The Hunt is just an absolute masterpiece of cinema. So the scene immediately starts off with Lucas walking into a supermarket. And while he is trying to buy meat from the butcher, he is beaten up and thrown out of the store after realizing that he is accused of pedophilia and is not allowed to come to the store ever again. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of him walking back inside and physically assaulting one of the employees while grabbing his groceries. And to me, this is honestly one of the most disturbing yet satisfying scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it does such a great job at showing you the consequences of lies and the decay of society as a whole. One of the most interesting things about this film is the way in how it does such a great job at showing the effects of mob mentality, but in a way that feels realistic and raw. And you can really see that from how the community sees Lucas as nothing more but a pedophile, despite the fact that he did nothing wrong. And to me, it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why the writing in this film is just so fucking good. But if you really think about it for a bit, this film remains just as relevant today as it did when it first came out in 2012. Especially when it comes to things like cancel culture, for example, because we live in a world where if you say anything, people will start attacking you for it. Just look at Twitter, for example, which is what it used to be, though. But you know what's so fucking what? Cancel culture still goes on. You can't fucking change it. And it really goes to show you that we live in a world of where nothing makes any sense anymore. Just watch this film, then you see what I fucking mean. Because this is a town of where if someone says something, they will believe it and kill the person who committed that act that was said by that lie. And that's what you see with Lucas. 'Cause he is a kind man who was hit with an unjust truth. This film is just so well written, and it's insane that we don't get movies like this anymore. Because this is what independent filmmaking is all about. I thought the scene on where Lucas has a mental breakdown in the church is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. So the scene immediately starts off with Lucas attending a church service on Christmas. And while he tries to pretend that there is nothing wrong and maintain a sense of normalcy, Lucas immediately starts to notice that Theo and his wife are sitting right behind him. But as the scene goes on, we see a shot of him getting off his chair and decides to beat up Theo while forcing him to lock eyes with him. And I just want to say that the acting from Mads Mikkelsen in this scene is honestly some of the best acting that I have ever seen in a film like this. As you can feel his character's pain and guilt throughout the film, and it is just fucking insane to me that he did not win a fucking Oscar for his performance, because this is a masterclass at acting. This guy is a great fucking actor, and this movie fucking proves it. Go fucking watch this film. You do not want to fucking miss it. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is a pretty realistic depiction of a man who has been completely destroyed by his own environment. And it really goes to show you that The Hunt is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful and disturbing movies that has ever been made. And I am not going to lie to you right now. If you want a film with good writing and good directing, then this is the film for you. Because you're not gonna get a film like this ever again. So go fucking watch it while you still can, because this is what I'm talking about when it comes to good filmmaking. And Thomas Vinterberg fucking proved that with this film. as this is a perfect depiction of mob mentality and how stupid society can become. And it's actually depressing that this is happening in the world we live in right now. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes, so 92% from the critics and 93% from the audience. And I am going to read out the reviews right now. So for the first review, anchored by Mads Mikkelsen's sympathetic performance, The Hunt asks difficult questions with the courage to pursue answers head on. For the second one, a chilling tale of groupthink that could happen anywhere, and I agree with that. For the third one, The Hunt has left me more shaken than any other film I've seen all year. For the fourth one, scarier than your average horror film. For the fifth one, The Hunt can be difficult to watch. It is confrontational and unflinching, yet its thought-provoking questions are soaked in realism and relevance. And that is something I most definitely agree with. And as I read these reviews, it's nice seeing a film like this getting the praise that it deserves, especially from the reviews it got from the critics and audiences. And it really goes to show you that The Hunt is just one of those films that will stay with you long after it's over. And while it may be extremely disturbing and stressful at times, it is still a lot better than the woke dog shit that we get from modern Hollywood, especially nowadays. And I will say this, when I first watched this film, I felt so bad for Lucas's character because he was a kind person who got accused of something that he didn't commit. And it really goes to show you that this film is just a masterpiece in every way a film can be. And I will admit, for a Danish film, this is better than Hollywood movies. And yeah, it's critically acclaimed, but it's for a good reason. And you know what it makes me realize? I don't give a fuck about new movies that are critically acclaimed. Even though there were some good movies that came out in 2026, just look at the new film that came out, Obsession, and Project Hail Mary, which are two movies that needs to be seen, and they're definitely one of the two highlights of 2026. But that does not mean that good filmmaking is back, because it fucking isn't! I thought the soundtrack was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with the film's themes and its story. And I'm going to show you an example of it right now. There's just something about this film that is just painfully emotional. No, seriously, for a non-horror film, this is actually more scarier than a horror film. Because it feels so real. And it could happen anywhere. It could happen to you. It could happen to me. It could happen to everyone in the fucking world that lives their lives. Then have some person say to you, you're toxic. You're a monster. You're a piece of shit and you should die. That's cancel culture. This movie shows that. And it's crazy that we live in a digital world where if you say anything or just live your life normally, some person will come at you and attack you for something that you did not commit. It's crazy that we have films like this that expose the truth about who we are as a society and how we can break down from the inside out. This movie's disturbing. Mads Mikkelsen is great in this film. He brings so much life into this role. Like, seriously, if he wasn't in this movie, it would have not have worked as strongly as it did. And this is a film that I've been wanting to review for a very long time. I won't describe this film as a psychological drama. I'll describe it more of a tragedy. Thomas Vinterberg knew exactly what he wanted to do with this movie. He made a masterpiece that will be remembered for a long time. And all the other films that get called masterpieces will be forgotten. Okay? Nobody will fucking care. And that goes the same way for all the Oscar nominated shit that comes out. Those films are going to be forgotten. Okay, just look at one battle after another. And while I thought it was an okay film, I just don't think it was that great. I thought it was extremely overrated, especially from the critics. This movie is painfully realistic because things like this happens all the time. It doesn't matter. And while this film is depressing, it brings up a sense of hope that maybe society can improve. But I just don't think it will in the modern times we live in. No movie has made me more stressed than this film. And can I just say, the scene of where Lucas's dog dies is emotional. Because when they discover the body, they get so angry and you feel so bad for what happened. And it really shows that the community will go to extreme lengths to make sure that Lucas is gone, removed from society, killed, crucified even. This movie is disturbing and depressing and tragic all at the same time. This movie is worth all the praise that it got from critics and audiences. Thomas Vinterberg, Thomas Bo Larsen, Mads Mikkelsen, Charlotte Bruce Christensen, all of these people created a masterpiece along with the other cast members. Foreign films don't get this good. I am going to explain the ending of this film. So, after being forgiven by the community, the scene immediately starts off with Lucas and his friends going out hunting in the forest. But when he decides to spend time all by himself, he hears the sound of a gun being pointed at him and quickly dodges the bullet. And then the film ends with Lucas finally realizing that he will always be hunted by his community. And to me, I thought that this was a disturbing but perfect ending to a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. But if you really think about it for a bit, it's pretty relevant to the world we live in today. And it makes you think, what will happen to him next? And I actually like what Thomas Vinterberg did with this ending because it shows that he will live in extreme purgatory for the rest of his life. I'm going to show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one. Look at the stunning cinematography. The camera work and everything just works. Alright, let's go with the second trailer. And not just that, but this film says a lot about morality too, because in a town like this, there are no good people. Mads Mikkelsen's character is the only good person, while everyone else is a bad person. Clara accused him. Theo rejected him. The community killed his dog. In conclusion, this film was just an absolute masterpiece of cinema, as it does such a great job at showing the decay of society through the eyes of a broken man. And it really goes to show you that we just don't get movies like this anymore, especially when we are living in an age of where every film is either a sequel, prequel, or remake of something that already came out before. But if there is anything else that I want to say about this film, is go fucking watch it, as it's just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to the acting, directing, writing, and cinematography. And not just that, but you could really tell that this was made by a filmmaker who actually gave a shit about the film that he wanted to make, and he did it perfectly. And I am just going to let you know that the next films that I'm going to be reviewing is Shame, directed by Steve McQueen, and Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve. So, go get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now, and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And keep supporting films like this, because we need them now more than ever before. Especially when we're living in an age of where cinema doesn't feel like cinema anymore, but more like content for streaming services. And this film is exactly why I like filmmaking. Because this film has something that most movies lack: good writing. Also, see you in the next one.